Welcome back to some of the best stories from r/TalesFromTechSupport. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's take a look at the first story. It's called Deleted Files. IT saw a ticket had come in, and it was from this confused woman. It said, "You deleted all my files. I need them to do my job." IT called her to see what was going on, because we don't delete personal files off of people's computers, unless there's a good reason for it, and we have the user's permission. So while IT was on the phone, they remote into her computer and noticed everything but the recycling bin was missing on her desktop. They noticed that there were files in the recycling bin, so they opened it and all her files were there. "Here are all your files. Did you move them into here?" "Yes, I did. I moved them in here to recycle them, so they will be clean for me to work on them." "Excuse me?" "Yes, I moved them to the recycling bin to make them new again, so I can reuse the files. This is the trash bin. You would move files here to delete them off of your computer." "It is not a trash can. It is a recycling bin. It says so right under the icon." So for the next half hour, IT had to teach her how to use the recycling bin. The next story is called Wouldn't Take It Back. This happened a while ago. I own my own computer repair business, and a customer called me up, asking me to build them a computer. They had all the parts and just wanted someone to put it together, as they didn't trust themselves. It was a fairly high-end computer. They spent probably $2,000+ on parts. I put it together with no issues, and they were very happy. When they picked it up, they asked if I could fix up one of their older computers, so their kids could play together. The computer they brought in was maybe older, but for the time had top-of-the-line parts, and probably cost somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500. They bought an NVIDIA GTX 1070 and told me that it needs a hard drive and some extra fans. So I picked up a $100 hard drive, swapped in the 1070, installed the fans, and it ran like a dream. I called them and told them it was ready. They were again really pleased and said they would be by later in the day. 3 days later, I called them again and asked when they wanted, and they say they will be on the weekend. 7 days later, they say they will be by at the end of the day. 2 weeks later, I call and get no answer. So I leave a message and send them an email explaining that starting at the beginning of next month, there will be a $20 per week storage fee, since it's been over 30 days since it was completed. I called them in the middle of the week to again confirm when they wanted it and explain the fee, but no answer. So I leave a message and text them. The week after, I call and again, no answer. So I leave another message, email and text. On week 3, there was still no answer, but they called me back 2 days later, explaining there was an emergency and they were out of town and they would be there within 2 days to pick it up. 3 days go by and they don't show up or call. On week 4, I call one last time and explain that this will be the last message they will get from me, and I will hold onto the computer for 90 days. At which point I will assume you don't want it, and I will take ownership, as agreed upon in the contract. On day 100, I now have a very good gaming computer for the low investment of $100. The third story is called 1-Year-Old Tech Support. I spent 3 terrible years working in a call center, 2 of which I was roped into acting as tech support, despite the fact that I'd originally been hired to sell insurance. The calls I got made me weep for humanity. After my son was born, I decided not to return from maternity leave. I just couldn't handle staying up all night with a screaming newborn, and then coming into work and calmly asking people how they can see the huge red "Create an account" button smack dab in the middle of the page, but they can find our phone number in a tiny font up in the corner to call and demand that we do it for them. My baby is now a toddler, and I just hit the misty-eyed, hand-on-heart, proud parent moment that you always hear about. My son was playing with his brilliant baby laptop, which is basically a bright plastic clamshell. that plays music when the baby mashes the keyboard. Suddenly, the music stopped. The baby was confused. Further button mashing had no effect. I watched from the sofa as my son frowned, experimentally smashing the buttons harder. Then, as I looked on in amazement and pride, he turned it off and on again. "Welcome," it announced, the screen lighting up in a joyful display. My son contentedly returned to his button mashing, and I shed a proud tear. So what if your kid can say mommy and daddy and knows how to use a spoon? Mine can troubleshoot. The last story is called Company Policy. As a consultant, you're always going to be the IT guy, whether you like it or not. No matter how you market your services, every single company is going to assume you can do anything with a computer. And when business is slow, this is not necessarily a bad thing if you just need work. About 10 years ago, I found myself in a situation. I got an inquiry from my website asking about assistance deploying some workstations and other mundane tasks. Usually I would pass on this kind of work, but it was winter and the other client's work was dry that month. A guy still has to pay the bills, so I followed up, and within a day, the scope of work was signed. The company had its own IT department, but just needed some extra hands. I was going to be one of 3 outside contractors that would deploy some workstations, do some server admin work, and set up some other equipment for a new department. The money wasn't the best, but it was time I had free, and it was all swing shift work, meaning no traffic, and I get to sleep in. The first day, I report as requested about 3 PM and talk to our contact. He was a senior engineer in charge of part of the IT department there, saying he really doesn't have time to do anything more than a quick introduction, as they are slammed with work. He shows us the ropes and leaves us to it. Between the 3 of us, we break down our specialties and pass out the work. Everyone knows this is a cakewalk of a job and wants to just get it done fast, as the pay was flat rate. I take the server work and see my contact with the system administrator. Figuring he was probably gone for the day as it was mid-evening, I was just going to leave him a note asking him to call me, but to my surprise, he is at his desk. In fact, just about everyone in the IT department is milling around. I didn't think much of it at the time, just that it was one busy department and the guys must be pulling double shifts. He shows me the systems and I get to work. Around midnight, we are wrapping up for the night, and the 3 of us break down what we have left with the senior engineer, who is still on site. The plan is to wait until Friday night, to deploy the workstations and get everything in place. The senior engineer says most of his team will probably be there all weekend anyhow, so it doesn't matter to him. I left thinking, man, that is a busy place. Those guys must really be pulling down the overtime. I wonder what is going on that they have so much work. As I walked out the door that night, soon enough I would find out the deal. Friday night. Head to the work site a little early on Friday, figuring if we all pull a long night, we should be able to wrap it up and all get our weekend back. Things are going great and we are ahead of schedule, so the senior engineer offers to take us out to a local diner while we wait for the office to close up, so we can deploy workstations without tripping over people. At the dinner, the senior engineer said, I want to thank you guys for all your hard work. We are all overworked, and when we got approval to contract out this job, everyone was excited. I said, looks like you guys are crazy busy. Is everyone pulling doubles and doing weekends to handle your ticket load? Oh, we are understaffed, so we all have to pull extra hours. That's a shame, but must be some great overtime. Overtime? Not really. We are all salaried. Some loophole or something. We just put in the time because we all need a job right now. The conversation trailed off from there, but it left me thinking, in this state, most IT workers are eligible for overtime as a matter of law. There is no loophole like that. Something isn't right. Back at the work site, I'm in the network closet with the systems administrator, hooking up some ports and finishing the server work. He's a friendly guy, so we started chatting. I was talking to your buddy, and it seems like you guys work insane hours here. Oh yeah, it has been like this for a year. 60 hours is a light week these days. It is terrible. Yeah, the other guy said you don't get overtime. He laughed. That is what the boss told us. Let me show you something. He pulls up an email exchange he had with his manager. It is dated about 10 months ago and makes the very point I thought, that the entire department should be getting overtime, and the law requires it. His boss's response, in bold and caps, was, "It is company policy to not pay any overtime. Working more than 40 hours is part of the job. Deal with it or find another place to work." Then the admin smirks and shows me his response to the boss. Sure, okay, whatever. And that was the end of the exchange. Look, I'm not a lawyer, but you might want to call up the labor department. I'm pretty sure it is illegal for you not to be getting overtime. Then, to my surprise, the admin pulls up another email from his personal account. Oh, it is blatantly illegal. I asked a lawyer, and this was his response. He showed me a memo explaining the law, and that most likely a lawsuit would be successful. This was dated about 9 months ago. Confused, I asked, "So, you guys know you should be getting overtime, but are not getting paid, and everyone is okay with that? We all make sure to log all of our hours and document the time." I was still confused. "But you still aren't actually getting paid overtime." "No, but we will." Here's the kicker. According to the lawyer, the labor department will look back at the hours we put in for the last 12 months and award us retroactive overtime. So all of us just log our time and keep records. Then, in about a month, we are going to file a claim, all together. The company is going to be on the hook for all that overtime, and they won't be allowed to fire any of us for reporting them either. Then came the coup de grace. We all figured when this whole thing started, if we pressed the point, then they would just figure out a way to screw us. So we just all decided to stay quiet. Put in the time they tell us to work, and we will get our bonus check when it is all said and done. If the stuff is all backdated. That is some cold stone strategizing. How many hours do you think you guys have piled up? Hard to tell. Everyone keeps their own paper logs to keep it quiet. We also don't talk about it too much, so nothing gets out. But last time we met outside of work, it was a boatload of time. I figure for myself, they will owe me about 13 to 14 months of salary in overtime. And when it is all said and done, add up damages, penalties, interest, it will probably total almost 2 years of pay. So if the guys won't talk about it and seem eager to work all these long hours, now you know why. We finished up the job that night. I exchanged contact information with a few guys and said if they had any other contract work, to think about giving me a call. That was it, until 3 months later. I am at another job and see an email come in from the systems administrator. Subject line, overtime claim. Hey IT guy, hope you are doing well. We all ended up filing a big overtime claim with the state, and the company fired us for supposedly falsifying our timesheets. The lawyer is sorting it all out. But anyway, I wanted to know if I could give you a name to an investigator who was looking for witnesses to verify some of the extra hours we worked. I agreed to talk to the investigator and got a call about a week later. He asked me some routine questions about times and dates and wanted me to email him over some proof I did the job. Then he started going into the details of the case. We got this company for probably $1 million in overtime and damages between all the guys in the department. Plus the firing is probably illegal, so that is going to be another few $100,000 on top of it. The insurance company wants to settle, and once we wrap up the due diligence work, I think these guys all going to make out rather nicely. I didn't hear anything for a while, until another email came in from the systems administrator. Just wanted to let you know we settled this whole thing. Company caved pretty quick. Once it was clear we kept honest logs of our time, and the local management violated parent company regulations for the sake of making their side budget look better. Can't go into details, but we all got sizable checks. enough to pay off some loans and go back to school. I'll have to find a new job, but after I get my grad degree, that shouldn't be an issue. Appreciate you talking to the investigators. Thanks, IT guy. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.